We're gonna be watching this today. Is pride still necessary? Yeah, gay conservatives and gay liberals.
The gay community is over-sexualized.
Sometimes. Depends on by who. Yes. The answer is
The gay
yes.
community, because, you know, it's based off of our sexual attraction, it has a very easy time going into a space that's all about sex. To me, being gay is a lot more than who I sleep with, you know? It's an experience from when I grew up. You go to a pride parade now and you're seeing old men with their genitals out.
I think everybody has a right to, like,
Where? I think what he's referencing here actually is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a post earlier this year in June. It was this like nudist like bike ride thing or whatever, and one person posted it. One person posted it on Twitter saying how like, oh, look what they're doing at Pride now. There's a child walking by, blah blah blah, and it wasn't even a Pride event. That's not what it was. I know girls freaking at Pride parades. Yeah, you get arrested for that because that's illegal. It's not like a thing that's being condoned, but keep fighting against your best interest by falling into stereotypes of your own community. Great job. Feeling it.
like express their sexuality in the ways that they do it. So on those grounds, I'm not like offended by these old people like doing what they're doing. But I do agree with that. I think like one of the biggest challenges when I was coming out to my dad, who's Muslim, it was like my sexuality, being gay, isn't just about my sexual lust for other men. It's more about the spiritual connections, the in-depth things. Like me as a whole complex person, I do think that our experiences and our existence has kind of been trivialized by the over-sexualizations. I don't think it's inherently an evil.
And the over-sexualization is apparent in the apps that we can get. I mean, you can literally have sex on demand, or you could find it in a location wherever you want. Certain businesses are actually keeping doors open.
Straight people have that too. I'm assuming he's talking about like Grindr. Straight people have Tinder and Bumble. Straight people do that too. That's not unique to gay people. How like what is he on? That's not a uniquely gay thing. It's just not.
Open because men are having sexual relations in the bathrooms, and that's inappropriate. I mean, we want our privacy too, just like women, and now we can't even have our privacy because a small sect of men ruin it for us.
Yeah, and that was really frustrating too when I came up.
Yeah, everything he just said is stuff that straight people engage in as well. Straight people also like, well, there's this like whole thing called the Mile High Club, which is like having sex on a an airplane bathroom. Like straight people do all of this stuff as well. Like I don't know what the hell he's on about. I just realized Miyazaki is still here. Let me get rid of him, sorry.
I haven't attended many Pride events because of that reason. And I was able to go to Portugal, and there was this queer retreat. And it was like the first time I felt like safe and secure as a queer person because it wasn't sexual, and I could have these relationships with queer men, but there's no expectation to be sexual.
Yeah, and we see it at the bars. I mean, it's a go-go.
You go to a gay club, you're getting grabbed.
You are.
You're getting hugged. You're getting groped, taps.
Well, yeah, but like they do that at straight bars too. Not that it's good. You shouldn't be groping people, but like that happens at straight clubs too. Like this isn't unique to like gay people, right? It's not. It happens with like everything they've said so far happens with like straight cis people as well. Gotta know what they're on about.
At all costs at this point.
Community is over-sexualized because we're in it, so we're focused on it. But if you look at the straight community, I think they're doing a lot of what we're doing, especially now with more sexual liberation becoming a thing in their community. I also think that we have to remember, like, we've only been legal, as in like decriminalized in our sex for 20 years this year. An explosion of people wanting to embrace their sexual liberation. And then you look at things like the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. Like that took away so many people, and it made us afraid to have sex. So this, in my opinion, is a way for us to overcome stuff, and we definitely need to find a balance.
Yeah, what he said was true. Like, I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but sodomy was like technically illegal up until like 2003. Like so, and that combined with the AIDS epidemic, like it made the gay community not only just scared to come out or to be themselves, but scared to just like be themselves with other gay people. Like just scared to have sex. That was a real thing. Like, again, this is like the kind of explosion in sexual liberation. If you line that up in a graph, it somewhat mimics trans people coming out, or like people identifying as LGBTQ. You know how like we've seen that graph so far of like, oh, the percentage of Gen Z people identifying as LGBTQ is so much higher than like previous generations, and it's like, well, yeah, because now they feel comfortable to do that. It was the same thing with the left-handedness in like the early in the 1920s, right? In the early 20th century. It's the same thing. Eventually it will plateau, but like you have this whole group of people that have been marginalized before this and then now finally feel liberated and free enough to express themselves. Yeah, there's going to be an explosion in that community.
There are a million rom-coms out there for with heterosexual people, and a funny thing seen in that movie is straight people having sex in some public space.
Correct.
This is a...
I still don't think that's appropriate.
I don't necessarily do either. I don't necessarily do either. I'm just saying we're talking about personal preferences.
I know, but I think a lot...
Yeah, like, again, every single thing that the cons are talking about in regards to sexuality and sexual behavior in public or whatever, it's all stuff that straight people do. It's all stuff that straight people do. Like it's not unique to gay people. What they're doing, like this guy, what their arguments are based off of homophobia. They're just parroting, going like, well, maybe they're kind of right. Maybe the gay community is a little bit stuff. Like they do this at nightclubs, like they'll grope or blah, blah, blah. And everything that they say is all stuff that straight people do as well. If I see them like harping on this again, I'm just going to skip it a little bit more and get to the next point.
A lot of times in this, and I don't disagree with
I feel like I'm repeating myself.
A lot of times what I'll hear is like, well, the straight people do this. And I always grew up saying, I clean my house before I tell somebody else to clean theirs. I'm not straight. Right. Therefore, if straight people are doing something wrong and gay people are doing something wrong, I'm going to address the gay people that are doing something wrong. And
that is so toxic and so stupid. That's that fuck, you know, this guy watches Jordan Peterson, because that's literally the like, clean the room before you cry about climate change or whatever. Like it's the same damn thing. Why does it matter? They're committing the same behavior. What you're doing is saying that when gay people, by ignoring the straight people and saying gay people, you need to stop this first, what you're doing with that action is implicitly saying that it's worse when gay people do it. Yeah, they both do it, but it's worse when gay people do it. That's exactly what you're doing. That's homophobic. That's discriminatory.
Pride is still necessary.
Absolutely. Everybody should. Oh, look at that!
Yeah, I think Pride's necessary, but we need a PR revamp. Yeah, I think we need a rebrand. I take a lot of issues with what I see at Pride parades now, just because, you know, as we discussed previously, I think that it's a little bit over-sexualized. We're celebrating essentially sex rather than love, and we have people running around riding bikes with their balls out in front of kids. And
yeah, we talked about this earlier. That photo is not from a Pride parade. And now this guy is repeating that argument when that was debunked. Oh my god, man! They buy into this shit all the time.
And for me,
where are you seeing this?
Yeah,
what prides are you going to?
See?
New York City and Seattle, both of those had naked people walking the streets. San Francisco. One of them was on a bike. I saw the video of him on a bike. I didn't want.
Exactly. He's like, oh, I saw it online. I saw the video. Trust me. Just trust me. I saw it on Twitter. Trust me. This guy is wrong. This guy fell for propaganda. I saw the thing online. Exactly, Moogsy. It's exactly what he's doing. Don't tell me hello. Okay, bye. Hi, Killer Queen. How are you doing? I was in the middle of education. I'm sorry.
At 2011, you know, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was abolished. I'm in the military, and had that not been abolished, I would not be able to be, you know, a minority, be openly gay, and still be able to serve my country.
That's a prime example of the Pride that I would love to attend, is someone who highlights service members, gay CEOs, people who are successful, who are contributing to society.
Oh my god, this fucking corporate shield. Yeah, just like, look, I like the gays, but I just want the gay capitalism. I want the gay military. I want the gay military industrial complex. I love rainbow WMDs. I love that shit. I love gay corporate overlords that like employ wage slaves in their company. Give me that shit. I love that. But all this other gay stuff, no, it's not okay.
This should be interesting.
Yes, heels. Come on.
I know. I'm alone on this one. But the reason I'm alone on this one is because I organized one of the most successful prides in my community in 2016. I invited groups that were outside the norm, like the NRA and the local GOP, including the Democrats. Because for me, it was important that this event reach the entire community more than just saying we are a sexual being. We wanted to educate the people. I was told I was never allowed to help them again because how dare I invite a hate group like the NRA when all I wanted to do was arm LGBT people and educate them on how to protect themselves. Because as you guys said, there are those people who would hurt us. I live in a very, very red community.
Half-based, kind of, sort of. Look, I think if you are a member of a marginalized community, I encourage you to educate yourself on the use of a firearm or take a course and perhaps own a firearm. If you, however, have mental health struggles, do not do that. If you do or have ever felt suicidal, do not own a firearm. Do not put yourself in a position where you have access to a firearm. You are the exception. But in general, yeah, gay people should arm themselves, absolutely. Until we live in a society where, like, if we live in a society where guns are banned or whatever, then yeah, fine, sure. NRA is, like, kind of a hate group, though. The NRA, like, that's what I said, half-based. Like, encouraging LGBTQ people to own guns, yes, I agree with this. In America. Hot take, but whatever. The NRA, though, that's where they've got a bit of a checkered past right there. That's not the group that I want to be associated with, or the group around. I don't want followers of that group around in my community either. Right in the GOP and NRA, that's some bullshit. Yeah, it's fucking, like, that's brain dead. This is some like neolibs, like centrist, like brainworm shit. Look, you guys like rainbows? Come over here. We have, oh, you guys like guns? Well, we have guns. Come in here. Let's all be friends and like sing Kumbaya. That's not gonna fucking happen when literally half of the demographic that you're inviting over to educate people on the use of firearms are the ones that want to use firearms on that demographic. Like, that's stupid. That's fucking dumb. Literally invited the Nazis to Pride. LGBTQ plus people owning guns, based. NRA, not based at all. Exactly. It's basically, that's the short of it.
The LGB should be separated from the
oh boy, this will be good. Get popcorn, chat. This is it. I'm so happy for you, but you're a numbskull. Whoa! Wait a minute. One of the liberals came in, and two of the oh, this will be fucking good. This will be good.
Saying they should be separated is not saying that one is, less important.
Yeah,
so I do want to start with that. But I do think that the LGB is very specific, rooted in science. It's very clear as day. You have lesbian, gay, and bi.
Oh, here we go.
Difference between male and female.
Here we go, baby.
The reason why I stepped forward with hesitation was because I think that there are such lived differences in experiences that we experience. Although collectively, I think that we all know the collective experience of being a sexual deviant. There just is a difference in lived experience that I think is important to talk about and acknowledge, and that's my grounds for agreeing with perhaps a separation.
Mine is very different.
What the fuck did that even mean? Like, what? That guy just opened his mouth and said nothing. He said, like, oh, we all have a shared experience of being called a sexual deviant. That's why we should be separated? What? Bro is on to nothing with this. Absolutely nothing. Who let him cook? What did that even mean? That said nothing.
The science is very solid on identities other than gender assigned at birth being valid. Science is very clear, robust.
Right.
There is no question that it's legit. We, as cisgender people, do a really bad job of standing up for people who aren't cisgender. I call out the fact that cisgender queer people are treated differently than non-cisgender queer people, and until we do better, we don't deserve to have the letters be together.
Much better grounds.
That is such a stupid fucking argument. That is so... This guy has been pretty good so far. That is the stupidest fucking reason I've ever heard to say, you know what? You're too good for us to be associated with us, so we're gonna divide ourselves and let people just roll with that. That is the most fucking lib shit I've ever heard. Oh my god, dude, it really is true. Everybody is a fucking liberal. So like, okay, what do you say to bisexual trans people, or gay trans people, right? Or like bisexual queer people, or bisexual intersex? Like, what do you say to those people who also are a part of LGB? They have to like separate? Like, that's so stupid. That's such a dumb thing to say. That is so fucking oh my god, man.
One is an identity, and one is a sexuality. And that's just the simple difference between the two. Eventually, as both groups are fighting for their own personal interests, those are going to not work cohesively. So one is going to be quieter, and one is going to get...
Wait, why could they not work cohesively? Why do you think they have to be mutually exclusive? Well, let me get, is this, how much you want to bet this guy would also argue to remove the black and brown from the pride flag? One is like is like a race or ethnicity, and the other is sexual orientation, right? Like they're gonna have like mutually exclusive goals, so they can't work together. How much you want to bet if that comes up, this guy's gonna argue against that? $100 says he's gonna do that.
A lot of what's in the media today is sensationalized content about, targeting children. A lot of it is valid and some of it is not. But a lot of times it's gay men that are doing it, and trans people are getting blamed for it when it's really gay men in drag.
Right.
Okay, that's what he said. So, that's wrong based on one kernel of truth. All that's bullshit based on one. The kernel of truth is that like conservatives will conflate trans women with drag queens and cross-dressers. They're not the same. They're not. Drag queens and cross-dressers are typically cis men who cross-dress and are performative about it. That's it. They don't identify as women. They're not trans. They don't go on HRT, typically, blah, 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 blah. Trans women are women. There you go. But, like, to say that, like, drag queens are targeting children is so fucking stupid. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Like, targeting them with what? Like, I really hope one of them presses him on this and asks this guy to elaborate.
And because the letters are together, people don't know the difference. And even when I first started coming out, the first thing that somebody said to me was, "Are you going to transition into a woman?" And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. That has nothing to do with my sexuality. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but because they're together from an outsider's point of view, optically, I think if our goal is to educate the populace on who we are, then we need to make a more clear distinction between LGB and TQ+.
No, I don't disagree.
That's stupid. No, that's pretty fucking dumb. Just because, like, oh, some person asked me if I'm going to transition when I came out as gay, that means we should separate LGB from TQ+. That's so fucking dumb. Trans people, intersex people, queer people can have, like, wildly varying sexual orientations. They could be LGB themselves. Like, it's so dumb. Oh my god, dude. The guys like this are so fucking stupid. Oh my god, the leopards eat my face people are so fucking stupid. Just because one person that you talk to doesn't know the difference between being gay and being trans doesn't mean that those things don't have intersectionality in a socio-political space. That doesn't mean that you can't fight for rights on both. Like, this is like, people like this just love inserting like their own personal experiences and saying like that's the norm. I get that, like, your own experiences form your opinions. That's, like, how experiences and opinions fucking work. But the ability to just kind of, like, extrapolate from that and then, like, develop, like, a broader societal opinions on things is just, like, it's so dumb. Anecdote Andy, exactly. Oh, my God.
I think it's just important that if we do that, we don't erase any of the validity of the people who we're not a part of. And also, well,
that's what you're doing, though. Like, when you separate them, you're erasing their validity. You are segregating them. That's exactly what you're doing. How does your neolib brain not grasp this, man? Like, that's exactly what you're engaging in.
What I wonder about in this context is some people are born intersex, so they have sexual organs of both genders. Right.
Okay.
How do we identify under the criteria you guys have identified? How would we label them? Because if they have both and they have sex with only one gender, what are they?
You don't label them, they identify themselves. The same way that nobody labels you gay, you identify as gay. Nobody tells you are cis, you identify as cis. You don't choose for them. They have the ability to self-identify. And then you just respect what they say. That's what I'm saying. Like, what this guy is trying to do is police this entire community as if they need the help. This is like, oh my god, I just realized what this guy is literally doing white savior complex, but for trans and intersex people. Oh my god, that's what he's doing. This is the most lib shit. This guy is doing white savior complex for trans and intersex people. Oh my god. How do we let's look, we don't deserve you. You'll have your own. You're too good for us. How do we identify them? How do we tell them what box they're supposed to be in? That's exactly what he's doing. 100%, man. Holy shit.
I think it would be an incredible disservice to the transgender community who gave us a lot of the beginning for us to fight for our rights.
Based Barrett! What a king! Barrett, chat, we're standing for Barrett right now. Barrett is such a king. What a god, an Adonis among us schlubs.
Now that we have our rights. That's just so privileged of us. Like Marsha P. Johnson threw that first brick at Stonewall, and because of her.
She didn't throw the first brick.
Or the second or the third.
She got there at 2 a.m., first of all. And second of all, Marsha P. Johnson was also a gay man. So when she was fighting for those rights, she was fighting for gay rights because she was gay.
Was she a gay man because of the time that it was?
She didn't transition until long after Stonewall actually happened. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to defend. I'm here.
Wait, yeah, did she transitioned afterwards? So like, what? She was a gay man. Well, no, she like transitioned afterwards. Like at the time, she identified as a gay man, but would like dress in drag and cross dress and stuff. Well, like eventually she came out. What this guy is doing is properly gendering her, and they're going like, oh, well, she wasn't like that at the time. Like, ultimately, like, she transitioned though, so just respect her gender identity. Like, they're so quick to be, oh my god, man, I hate everybody here is an idiot except for Barrett. Let Barrett speak. Hashtag let Barrett speak, please.
I'm here to defend the TQ being part of the LGB. Yes, there are some gay men that will overlook what's underneath the belt. That happens. But to say that you have to like them, that's wrong. And I also have a heart for the Q.
Nobody is... What are you talking about? Where did this come from? Dude, no trans person is forcing people of the same gender identity as them to have sex with them and then just saying, well, if you don't, then you're transphobic. That doesn't fucking happen. It doesn't happen. And if you ask them if it does, they go, oh, well, this one account on Twitter that got 2 likes on this one post said it does, so there's your proof. Look at this one tweet from this person with 9 followers. And this week got 2 likes. Wow. Holy shit. Oh my god, man. Like, they're conservative. It makes sense they would parrot conservative talking points, but holy shit, the leopards ate my face. These guys are like eating and sleeping right next to the leopards.
Because we can't clearly define the Q. When I was young, it was questioning. Now it's queer. Queer was a slur once upon a time. Those straight people who do have sex with the same gender on occasion, they would fall under that Q. They may not fall under the B. So I have a heart for them because they do exist in our spheres. We just can't put them on a pedestal above any of us because we're all in this together.
I also don't think that they should be divorced because...
So at literally like the last 15 words you said were good. There is intersectionality here, and like fighting for trans rights is fighting for gay rights as well, inherently. But holy shit, dude. He had a lot of hiccups along the way, and there's a lot of stuff that they're fucking up to get to that point, but at least he ended up in the right place, sort of.
I'm a huge disability advocate. I have a mental health condition. It's very different from someone who uses a wheelchair. We still have a disability.
What you're getting at is that we're a minority. They're a minority. And the more that you take apart those minorities, the harder it is for us to fight for our rights.
Yes!
It's already divided. Since the queer community is
True!
already divided, I think separating the two is going to make them even more divided.
If we can't teach the nuances of our various identities to a heteronormative society, then it's like, okay, well, aren't you gay? Aren't you trans? Like it's all the same thing to them. So I think it's a balance between being all awash and then also.
Well, that's a fault of education. That's not a fault of having like TQIA with LGB. That's just a fault of delivering the message, right? Like it's not a difficult concept to understand the differences. I wouldn't even call them nuances. Like it's pretty cut and dry, the difference between being trans or gay or lesbian or bisexual, right? There's some intersectionality and overlap with that sometimes, right? There are trans lesbians, there are bisexual trans men, right? But like, that's not like, you should be able to defend that and teach that. I don't think that's like an inherent, like, I don't think those being together is an inherent issue. I think that's more a fault of delivery and a fault of like message suppression, right? And that comes in the form of like the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, of like banning like gay teachers in other places, drag queen story hour, so on and so forth. Like having kids be exposed to gay people early on. By early on, I mean like 5, right? Just like knowing that like, hey, how come Timmy doesn't have a mommy? Oh, Timmy has 2 daddies instead. Okay, that's it. Like it ain't hard, dude. It's like, that's a concept children can grasp. They can understand this. They can understand that a parent can have 2 fathers or 2 mothers. I'm an r/trans sometimes, and I literally see posts all the time of like trans women going like, oh, so I came out to my daughter today and she said that like, oh, well now you're on the better team, right? Like, oh, that's fine. Boys are stinky anyway, or blah, blah, blah. Like, and this is like 5, 6, 7-year-old children. Like, they understand this stuff. It's not difficult. You just need to teach them, because if you don't teach them early on and they grow up in a cis heteronormative like structure, particularly one that excludes homosexuality or trans people or whatever, and constantly propagates homophobia and transphobia, guess what? They're gonna grow up to be homophobic and transphobic. That's how it happens. Nobody is inherently homophobic, racist, transphobic, whatever. They become that because of the environment that they grow up in and the values and ideas that are reinforced around them.
Can't we all, to some extent, identify underneath the Q? Your attraction maybe has shifted in some way to different types of men. Like, things are constantly evolving and, in my opinion, fluid. So to kind of force ourselves even into the LGB
He's
is to
so
sit within the binary
based.
that doesn't help any of us anyways.
But I think all the Q stuff is just a matter of your personality.
He's so based.
Like, we have so many different labels, and you like this kind of person, then you're this sexuality, when reality just goes back to
But it's not
you're
a
gay,
function
straight, or
of
bi,
hetero-
and then your personality.
But our
And it's
community is
just-
not doing itself any services by categorizing ourselves. Bear, twink.
Yeah.
And then you see it on
Yeah.
the apps, on the profiles. Oh, no fats, no femmes, no this, no that. We're already segregating ourselves.
We can still be a community.
I don't think that's segregating. Like, no, that's just preference. Like, there aren't people in the LGBTQ community, right, that are going like, oh, yeah, we love the gays, but not the twunks. The twunks are bringing us down, or the twinks are our weakness. Get rid of the femboys. Nobody, well, I mean, I like making fun of femboys. I think oppression of femboys is fun. But on a real serious level, I don't think that that doesn't happen. Nobody's arguing for that on any type of scale.
You guys are talking about a lot of anti-LGBTQ legislation, and as if I was a gay person watching, I would think, oh my gosh, they're coming for my rights. They're coming for my rights. But a lot of times that legislation has to do with the TQ+. And I'm not saying I agree with it. We don't need to go into the legislation. All I'm saying is that the narrative that gay men are being attacked when other letters are, not giving any merit to the attacks, it is confusing and it's harmful to young gay men and their success because they're force-fed this narrative that they can't.
That's totally
Well, no, that attacks on trans people do hurt gay people. It hurts cis people as well. Like, we know this. In May or June, there was like a track and field event in some elementary school, and some old grandpa and his wife were harassing this 9-year-old girl, shouting, oh, she's a boy, she's trans, blah, 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 blah. She's a cis girl. Humiliated this child because of trans panic. We can go back to the shooting that happened in, I forgot the name of the city. Does anybody remember? It was in California, I think, about the Nazi who like shot an old woman over a pride flag she had in her window. She wasn't trans. I don't even know if she was gay. She was just an ally. So to think that, or to pretend that anti-trans, trans panic, anti-trans legislation and stuff doesn't harm gay people when it goes so far as to even harm cis straight people is just asinine to even think that, to even pretend that that's true.
There's been over 560 legislation bills put into some sort of vote, right? And over 220 of those have been for transgender. That leaves, around 300 plus, not just at the TQ.
I think that there's a lot of nuance when it comes to the laws that we have to talk about, but either way, when you say over 500 LGBTQ+, the distinction between the two gets lost, and I don't think that it's...
I passed one of those laws. I passed one of those laws in Nebraska that protects children under the age of 18 from receiving gender-affirming care and hormones.
Yeah, you are a piece of shit for doing that then.
Because I've seen...
And you're proud of that.
Yes, I am very proud of that.
I am so ashamed of you.
Because I have friends who had their first experience with affirming care. Can I finish?
And
can I finish?
We're sitting here with because of the stuff you felt as a child.
I'm sure a lot of us disagree with him, but let him.
Barrett is killing it. Barrett is 100% true. Stop interrupting my boy Barrett. Let Barrett speak. Oh my God! All he's done is spit so far. Chad Howard, the Todd Howard in the good dimension, for real. All he's done is spit. He's true. Tashawn's just having a good old time. This guy's just typical gay behavior.
Can I finish?
But let him finish because we both have things
We can
to say.
all talk, but let's let.
Because when I passed this legislation that you say targets LGBT people, I sat next to a young girl who her first experience with this type of care was a double mastectomy at 15. She's now 19, doesn't know if she'll be able to. It's actually very common because
How common? I want to.
Yeah, that's again, double mastectomies. are that I think to my knowledge is like that's like the youngest age they can even happen at, barring some life-threatening issue. And again, cis kids get double mastectomies. They know that, right? Like that's not unique to trans people. There are cis teens that get double mastectomies because guess what? When puberty hits them, the hormones go a little bit bonkers and their breasts grow too large to where it actually causes them pain. And so you know what happens? They get put on fucking puberty blockers. We've been giving puberty blockers to cis children for over 50 fucking years. Over and over and over again. Like, it's not unique to trans people. Now, suddenly, when trans people want to do it, it's suddenly a problem. Not only that, he's making a decision that's going to harm thousands of children because one kid... Yeah, exactly. He's making decisions for other children that he knows nothing about. You are not a doctor. You are not certified in this. You, just because it makes you feel better, because you feel it's right, doesn't mean you have the right to dictate on this legislation. This guy is actively harming trans youth. Not Barrett. Barrett's a king. This guy on the left, he is.
The number, how common?
Finish?
How common?
Can I finish,
you passed
You're
the law.
asking me a question in the middle of my statement.
You passed a law that affects so many kids from feeling like themselves.
Yes, I did.
Transgender
I'm proud
kids.
of my law.
That's unfortunate, and I'm ashamed of you.
If that's what it's going to take to get you to stop so I can finish my thought, I appreciate that.
All right, you know what? I'm going to shut up until you finish, but I would really like to say something when you're done.
There's states all over this country
are so easy. I know a plethora of people all over the country.
Can we not do this? Like, what is the? Can we let him talk?
Let's just
You're
pause.
gonna get time to talk.
I don't appreciate it.
I know, I'm furious too, but let him finish.
This fucking lib, this like, you know what this guy reminds me of? It's like the guy, what's the guy's name from Parks and Rec? Who's like Liz's boyfriend or whatever? I get big Pete Buttigieg vibes from this guy. I think Ben Wyatt, that's the best way I can describe it. Ben Wyatt, Pete Buttigieg, decorum looking ass, like that. I'm ashamed. But let's let him finish. I'm ashamed of this, but let's let him finish spreading his hate. I can't believe you would speak this, but please continue, sir, with your hate.
You say how many people? You say it's a small subset, but for the people who it affects them for the rest of their lives. A decision they made as a child will affect them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, you know what also affects people for the rest of their lives? Having to go through a puberty that they didn't want. That also affects those people for the rest of their lives. Additionally, guess what? Puberty blockers aren't fucking permanent. You can reverse the effects of that. Actually, puberty blockers don't in themselves cause direct effects. They just prevent certain effects from happening. Puberty blockers aren't gonna make you grow tits. They're not gonna make you grow like a massive Adam's apple either, or facial hair. They're just gonna prevent your hormones from kicking in. Double mastectomy. You want to have another conversation about that? I guess, but like again, that's something we do for cis children as well. And nobody complains. You can't pretend that it's just about children when you're only focusing on trans children with legislation like this. Because this type of care is still going to be given to cis kids. There are still going to be cis kids who get put on puberty blockers because they go through puberty too fast. We go by peer-reviewed scientific consensus. That's how we make decisions. Not because of like one anecdote or I know a bunch of people online or something. That's not how it fucking works. You get people killed that way. You make society worse that way.
They made as a child will affect them for the rest of their lives. And
again, it's not like they make the decision themselves. There's medical guidance all along the way. There are doctors that they go to. Numerous doctors. I'm so tired of people pretending that it's just the children who wake up and go, hey doc, can you cut my breasts off? And the doctor goes, sure, come in tomorrow morning. That's not how it fucking works. There's medical guidance all in. You can't just walk in and say, hey, doctor, I want breast implants. You can't fucking do that as a 14-year-old. It does not happen. And I'm getting heated right now. I need to calm down, but I'm so tired of people that have little to no education on the matter of puberty blockers, of transitioning of gender identity, assisting in writing legislation or directly passing and writing it themselves that directly affects a community that they know nothing about.
This is happening more and more because we're conditioning our young people
to
say,
Barrett.
hey, this is okay. You can make these decisions. As a senior in this community, I have to say, wait a second. You guys are kids. Wait till you have your whole lives. Let's talk about this.
Look at the fucking Pete Buttigieg guy.
For not going after
Oh
the
my
actual
God.
facts. I realize your anecdotal experiences move you, and I respect and appreciate that. But let's be perfectly clear. The most permanent thing a kid can go through is puberty. First of all.
Exactly.
So when you deny a kid the opportunity to pause puberty, we're just talking about puberty blockers.
Which straight kids do all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yes, since the 80s, kids have been prescribed puberty blockers for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
And the law you passed prevents that. So you steal from kids who would like to be able to pause the ability to further. Fewer than 3% of people who do any kind of transition regret it and go back. Fewer than 3%. Finally, I want to make this very clear. I'm not done. You were so mean to everybody else who want to talk to you. My turn. There has been really robust standards of care laid out by all the leading medical associations that has been in existence for a long time, that is science-based.
God, he's so smug, dude.
For these things. But
He's
to
so
be clear,
smug.
the guidelines are very specific about
Look at him.
this is supposed to be the parent's decision with their kid, with their medical provider. What you did was rob all those families of choices. Your opinion, because you believe you know better than science, you know better than parents,
Yep.
you know better than people who even do know themselves, you're going to prevent them from having options because you personally have a problem with something that a couple of people and some other people you're aware of knew.
It sounds
None
like
of them are
something
statistically
themselves.
significant. Maybe you've got dozens of people you know of, hundreds. That's a teeny tiny little sliver. You will never know or know of all of these people, and yet you've decided for them, and shame on you for it.
His law is more so protecting those kids that are just tomboys, tomgirls, that are just they're being force-fed this idea like, oh,
They're not being force-fed. I'm so fucking tired of that. They're not being force-fed shit. Do you know what the fucking regret rate is for trans people? It's less than 1%. Like, I love how, like, look, their whole argument is like, oh, what about detransitioners? What about detransitioners? Why is it every fucking time that I hear cons cry about detransitioners and you try to ask them about it, it's like the same one or two people every fucking time.
The people who have gone through this process and regret it. I personally know someone in the same situation that you were in, and I'm not sitting here arguing for
More
either side because I
anecdotes.
think this is a very nuanced discussion. It used to be a 2-year process. Now it's 6 months. Those things are changing because the capital and the
No, the fuck it isn't. What? Is he implying that it's is he implying that like a 14-year-old kid can go to a doctor and within 6 months get a double mastectomy? Because if he is, he's a fucking idiot.
I'm sure that you guys on this side are against capitalistic, healthcare. That's pushing it. And those guidelines, yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of money to be made in gender-affirming care.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, he's running with the QAnon shit. Oh, there's so much money to be made in gender-affirming care. Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. No, let's not talk about like people prescribing like addictive prescription drugs. Let's not talk about like all other like plastic surgery where the actual money is made in the health industry. Let's talk about gender affirming care. Really? That's what we're going with. Oh my god, this guy's so fucking. We're not even halfway through the fucking video, god damn it.
The doctors who are
1.6 million per child that gets on it. That's throughout their lifetime. That's how much that
There
pharma
are so
makes
many
on
other
it.
things that kids get that make people more money.
I understand that, but you're not leaving any room for nuance in this discussion.
Actually, I would argue that you guys aren't leaving room for nuance because you make a decision.
I never said a statement.
Well, okay, I apologize. And for those of you that I have been mean to, I'm sorry. I love and respect all of you as people.
This guy is such a lib.
I think it's me.
Nuance
I think it's
is
a lot.
valuable.
He's such a
That's why
lib.
we leave it up to the parents and the medical professionals and the individuals who are making these decisions.
But he's right.
There are
He is
people
redeeming himself now.
who get hair plugs and regret it. There are people who get nose jobs and regret it. There is no such
But
thing.
we don't
There's
give
no,
hair
I'm not-
plugs and
there is
nose
no-
jobs to kids.
there-
But kids,
no,
kids can get
the
nose
point is-
jobs,
okay,
can get
pause.
breast jobs.
Yeah, they can. Kids can get plastic surgery. And you know what the regret rate is? It's like in the 20s. Yeah. Actually, this is an interesting bit of information. Do you know what the average regret rate is for any type of surgical procedure, elective or otherwise? I don't just mean like plastic surgery, hormone. I mean like, heart surgery, lung transplants, any type of surgical procedure. Do you know what the regret rate is? Because I do. It's about 16%. 16% is the regret rate for any type of procedure. That's almost 1 in 5. I fucking regret a surgery I got. I got a surgery on my hand that I needed. I broke my thumb in like 4 places and I had to get surgery for it, and now it still hurts and I get muscle spasms. It's getting worse for some reason. All the fucking time. And I wish I I got a second opinion because maybe I needed a different type of surgery. I don't know, but I fucking regret it. You know, I don't regret getting tits from estrogen. I don't regret that. Because you know what the regret rate is for transitioning? Less than 1%. And those that do regret it, what was it, like 60% of those are because of people that had to suffer either financial reasons, like they couldn't afford it, personal reasons, like their family or friends didn't accept them. Those are the major reasons why trans people stop taking. I know people in this community, that have had to put a pause in their HRT because they couldn't afford it, or because their health insurance dropped it, or whatever, or because they lost their health insurance. A lot of those are external factors influencing their decision to stop, or their decision to detransition. It's not something they inherently want. It's something that they feel they have to do, right? But we're not going to tell people, oh, you can't get like knee surgery anymore because the regret rate is like 24% or something. That would be absurd. Like if you ask these people what an acceptable regret rate is, they would probably tell you like, it would have to be like less than 1%, or they would tell you it's 0, which is fucking stupid. Because if that's the case, guess what? You can't get anything anymore. You can't get any type of surgery because there's always going to be a regret rate with it. But you don't punish the like 99% of people that want it because of like 2 people you found that didn't.
Of course, kids are getting this all the time.
Oh, he's done. She's waiting on us.
Sorry, I think it sounds like we're not really going to find a middle ground between some of you.
We will have to hug later.
And I just want to apologize because that's absolutely right. And I broke my own rule in being fired up in the things I said to you, and I'm sorry. That's
this
not
guy.
how you-
He said nothing. Oh, he's like, oh, I would be ashamed. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, sir. Like this is the most lib gay I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I don't know why he's apologizing. He did not get fired up enough.
I see where you're coming from, and that exists, and people that live here, they do, they have that. But I do disagree with you.
Kill him, Barrett! Get him!
Attack you.
Get him!
Drag shows are too sexual for minors.
Well, of course, here we go. Oh, man.
I myself, in my time, have helped a drag queen organize a show that was family friendly. And I use the quotations because she actually took it out of a bar. She's like, we can't make something family friendly and still produce it in a place where they serve alcohol. So she actually ended up renting a theater, asking people to pay for tickets, and she put on a produced show where they came in from backstage and they would come on stage like you would expect to see a Broadway show. And she made sure that she told anybody that was going to come in and perform, you don't grab your breast, you don't grab your crotch, you don't shake, you don't do. We have to make sure that it has to be available and consumable for the general public, because we don't know who's going to be walking through our doors, and we have
that's how it is.
a duty to make sure that we don't confuse children, we don't upset people, and if we want this show to be a success, we have to make it palatable for as many people as possible.
Okay.
That's what they do.
Okay, well, so right here.
Wait, so like he just said that drag shows are fine for kids and family. Then he helped organize one. Why does he say that they're not okay for minors then? He literally just said he helped organize a family-friendly drag show. What? This guy doesn't believe in anything. This guy is just an idiot.
I've not been to all the drag shows. I can't speak for the majority, but I've been to my fair share in New York and LA, like places where the queens turn out. They put on a show. It is not about being sexual. It's about being smart, funny, witty. They make their costumes. They do their makeup. It is art entertaining. I don't think they get enough respect for what they do.
I've been to Beyonce's tour. While I'm there, I love the experience, I love the show, but I'm also fighting in my head being like a super big fan, but I'm like, okay, this is really inappropriate for children. But no one's talking about that.
Because it's Beyonce. Because it's Beyonce.
Yeah. There's so much footage out there of adult women with their minor daughters going to a Justin Bieber concert and being out of their minds about him being in any way sexual. They respond when he does a sexual thing. This is a norm. It's just that in this case, it's about queer people, and norms don't get to apply to us.
Right. And
Yeah, one thing that they haven't mentioned either is what about child beauty pageants? Like, have you seen the stuff they show on TLC? I'm sure that you've watched a video on YouTube that talks about it, or like you've read an article about it or something. Like those literally sexualize children. That's not even just like exposing children to sexual. Like there are like child pageant shows that have like children like under 10 years old like wearing swimsuits and like pose. That's weird. And that most of that community is like conservative wine moms. That's mostly who's there. And of course, the men that are there. I think you get an idea of what kind of people those are. Yeah, toddlers and tiaras. That was the show. Isn't that the show that what's her name came from? Honey Boo Boo. And like everybody went nuts over her. Nobody made like a big deal about it. Like, oh, this is terrible. This is awful for children. When it's it is terrible for children. When drag queens are reading books to children, it's sexualizing them. But putting 8-year-olds in full makeup and bikinis is fine. That's okay, but reading books to children is not. This is just more evidence, honestly, that conservatives don't fucking believe in anything, and their views and beliefs will shift based on the topic at hand. To be fair, from my circles, there was always a disgust for child beauty pageants. Well, that is great to hear, but like I mean like on a national scale, right? Because like we make shows about it, you know. Like I would agree with that. From my circle, it's fucking. My mom always thought it was the strangest fucking thing. It's disgusting. Isn't there also a show? It's not Toddlers and Tiaras, but there's like another show because I've seen there's like a meme with like the teacher. I don't know if it's like a dance thing or ballerina show or like a cheerleader show, but it's something like that. But it's also for children. Dance, is that what it's called? Dance moms? Isn't that basically the same thing? Like, but nobody cares. Conservatives don't care about that. They never say anything about it because it's never about like protecting children. It's just about like getting like it's just about shunning from society what they personally find repulsive and repugnant. It's completely subjective. It's totally arbitrary to them. There is no moral consistency with them. None at all.
I think that just art in general has the potential to, blur the lines of what's socially acceptable and what isn't. That's what makes it art. Right. So it's important to remember that all forms of art, and I speak on this on my platform.
Why does this guy look like a Nazi from a World War II movie?
I'm sorry, I'm not taking him there. I'm also not taking him to a drag show, and I'm not going to take him to a Sam Smith concert either. Right. So, and that's not because that art is bad. It's because I'm not comfortable with my kids being there. Yeah. But
fine.
The government is in the business.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that you feel like you maybe could have experienced something that was good for you by seeing drag when you were little.
Right.
So and then you just said you wouldn't take your kids.
Because the majority of drag shows that I've seen, I wouldn't find appropriate. I'm not going to run the risk. I'm not saying that there isn't a drag show that would be good for a child. I never said that. I'm saying that.
What did I just say? Like they don't believe in anything. Literally just said, like, oh yeah, I saw stuff that would be good for me as a child. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to take my kid to that. No, absolutely not. They don't believe in anything. They believe in nothing.
From my experience going to drag shows, I'm not going to run the risk of taking my kid and putting them in an environment that I don't deem appropriate.
Do you want kids?
I mean,
yes,
we have a responsibility to police our own community. If a drag queen comes out from backstage into a bar and someone has their child, that drag queen should be like, stop, whose child is this? Why is this child in this bar?
This guy's example at the beginning was literally saying, my friend wanted to put a family-friendly drag show, but didn't want to do it out of the bar, so she rented a theater and I helped her organize it. And now his example is, oh, why are there children running amok in the bar? There are children in the fucking bar, you papega! You fucking papega! What are you talking about, dude? What are you on about? Like, they just make shit up. They oh my god, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. My mind is gonna explode. They just make shit up. They make shit up because they have no real evidence or anything to support what they believe. And what they believe shifts depending on what they're talking about. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind over this.
Adults take their young kids to Hooters all the time. Adults show their kids R-rated movies all the time, but those
I didn't even bring that up. I did not even bring that up. That's the thing. Like, doesn't Hooters actually have a day where like kids eat half off or something? Like, I swear to God that's a thing. I might be wrong. If I am, please fucking correct me. But like, dads will take their 10-year-olds to Hooters all the fucking time when the name of the restaurant is just tits. It's just, hey, do you want to go eat at Titties? Come on, little Jimmy, let's go eat at Booba. Let's go have some wings at the Boob restaurant. Like, and nobody cares.
I would date a trans man.
This one's going to be more subjective already, but I want to know why they're going to say what they're going to say.
If that trans man still had downstairs, then sure, because that's the reason I'm gay. I'm a gay man because I'm a male with male body parts that likes male body parts.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
would that change, let's say if you met someone and you were attracted to them based off of what they looked like in clothes, and then you found out that their genitalia didn't match what you had expected or assumed, would you still not be interested in them?
Good question.
It would hurt because I would be interested in them. That's happened before. I can be interested in a person, but at the end of the day, I'm gay. So if I go downstairs and there's nothing there, or there is a female body part, I can't perform.
So then you wouldn't date a
I think you can still say that you're gay and be attracted to a trans man, but I also think that you can say that you wouldn't, like, if they were pre-op, that you wouldn't be sexually attracted to them. I also think that's valid, right? That doesn't invalidate your sexuality, but at the same time, like, if that's just not what you're into, if it's not what you're into. Some gays can be like that. Yeah, but again, like, if you're attracted to a trans man and they have a vagina, you're still gay. Right? Even if you don't want to have sex with them.
trans man, would you? Trans man is woman transitioning to man.
Oh shit! See, it's so confusing.
Yeah, so it's like you wouldn't, because if they didn't.
It's trans man or trans woman?
Trans man.
Which is?
Woman transition to man.
Oh,
That's
shit.
why it's
No,
trans man.
No.
Okay.
You can turn around if you want.
Okay, yeah, no.
Okay.
Wait, did he think it was trans woman? Is that what he thought? Wait, did he think they were talking about trans women? Oh my god, this guy's so stupid.
I was dating someone and they were transgender and they didn't tell me, and we're like 2 months in and we actually decided to actually do something. I don't think that's fair for me though, because you're not giving me the opportunity if I still want to continue, because that's important. So that's why I don't blame anyone or have any animosity if someone doesn't want to date a trans person, because they still have their preference, and if they are gay, it's not just gender that's important, it's also their sex that's important too, and we don't want to disregard sex as well and what they're sexual.
Yeah, so like obviously for like asexual people, this doesn't really matter, right? I don't think it would. But for people where like sex is a component of what you look for in a relationship, I think that's fair. I think that's fine to say that, you know what, if you're gay and you met a guy, you found out he was trans and he had a vagina, you know, and if sex is a part of the relationship, I'm not saying it's the whole thing, but if it's a part of like what you want out of a relationship and you're just not into vaginas, that's fine. I think that's totally fine. I don't think that's controversial to say.
I think to close yourself off from possibly meeting someone who you are physically attracted to because of what just is in their pants is really doing yourself a disservice.
Can we go around and say what we love about each other?
Maybe, but again, like I don't think it's a big deal. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's a big deal. I found out something recently. I don't discriminate with genitalia as long as I identify as a woman, which I worried I might have some repressed transphobia in me. But I'm also ace-leaning, so it isn't much of a thing to think I'm yet. Well, no, again, like that's not transphobic. I don't think that's transphobic to have that attraction or that lack of attraction. I don't think it is, and people that tell you it is are wrong. I'm sorry. I'd be the same as someone leaving someone else if they don't perform well in bed. Like you do you. Yeah. Again, like look, as someone personally, what I look for out of a relationship is one, just somebody I gel with. I want to be able to have a conversation with them. I want us to have similar interests. I want us to have goals that we aspire to, and I want us to be able to help each other achieve those goals and work towards those and keep pushing those goals forward. But also, I have desires and I want those fulfilled in a relationship. Part of that is like if I'm not gonna get that out of my relationship, well then the relationship to me is gonna feel like it's missing something. Right? It's gonna be left unfulfilled to a degree. I'm not trying to say that's the only thing I look for, because obviously not. Like I won't date somebody just because they're attractive. I've been with people that were just attractive and the relationship never lasts. I know that at this point. I've had enough of those to know. Not very many. I've made that sound like look. The point I'm trying to say is that you should not feel ashamed of what you are or are not attracted to. The genital preferences or transphobia argument always weirded me out. Yeah, because it's bad. It's a bad argument. That's why. It's stupid. To be fair, there are a lot of conservatives and a lot of people on the right that like will parrot that and say that that's what all trans people are saying and doing. To say that like trans people are going out and going, oh what, you don't like me because I have a penis? Wow, then you're transphobic. Like that doesn't happen, dude. Most trans women are fucking introverts and they're scared as hell to even open up like Bumble or Tinder or whatever. And like they're too scared to leave their own homes, let alone like confront cis people in public and call them transphobic to their face.
Lives of trans people, like I think they have their rights. They should be alive. Like that's totally fine. Respect to them. But I think we're
really doing the bare minimum here.
Gay for a reason. Our sexuality is reduced to what's between the pants. That's literally the only reason I'm a gay man.
We're talking about like what's in someone's pants.
Yeah.
Would you date a trans woman who still had her penis?
I'd be open to it.
So would that make you still gay though, if she presents as a woman?
It would make me...
Make you bi with an exception?
Well, your definition of gay is defined by being a...
Yeah, this guy is failing to understand that sexuality is on a spectrum. He thinks it's like a binary thing. There's just bi, gay, or straight. That's what this guy thinks. But he's clearly... He's not as far on the spectrum as he thinks he is. If he's willing to, like, not even just, like, have physical intimacy, but, like, date a trans woman. Like, he clearly is not as far in the spectrum as he thinks he is. Travis said?
Attracted to
just be like, I just want, that would be a very, very feminine man.
When it comes to men, obviously, there's what's in your pants, but them transitioning to a...
Okay, that's transphobic. He literally just said a feminine man. He's just transphobic now with that. That what he just said is transphobic. Okay? That's the difference of what we were talking about before. What he just said, oh, no, they're just a feminine man. It's transphobic as fuck. Holy shit. To say someone can be straight and still have an exception? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, we're humans. We love putting things into tiny little boxes, dude. We love, like, categorizing things and making things neat and tidy because it makes it easier for us to process things. But that's just not how the world operates. The world doesn't change its operations to fit our mode of understanding. We have to shift how we think things and process things to understand how the world operates. It's the other way around.
I don't see the point in it, because like we can argue that someone who is a gay man will date a trans man. It's like, who cares? It's up to them. I know that we have different.
Thank you.
Right. I think it just sucks though that gay men are being called transphobic for not wanting to date a trans man.
Well,
I think that's a little too far.
I told you they were gonna say it. Nobody's saying that. Nobody outside of like the random like tanky with like 7 followers on Twitter is calling you transphobic for not wanting to date a trans man. That's fine. The reasons that you may have for that may be rooted in transphobia, but that in and of itself is not transphobic. Okay? Does that make sense, chat? Where are all these trans men forcing people to have sex with them, asking for a friend? Yeah, I don't know. Like they just make shit up. It's literally, every time I hear them speak, well, that's literally what I say every single time. It's because it's true. They just make shit up, dude. Have other plans.
LGBTQ topics should be taught in school.
Absolutely. 100%.
You want to sit in the middle?
I think age appropriate for sure.
Oh, look! They all stepped up except for the one guy. The sponsor of even the guy that looks like he would play a Nazi in a World War II movie came up. Only guy that didn't show up is the loudest dressed motherfucker here.
I think
you can never judge a book by its cover, chat.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
It's nuance. It's age.
Yeah, of course, Mario is a statue.
I mean, there's definitely times growing up when I was in the closet in middle school, I'm like, okay, we're taught men and women, they get together and then they have a baby, whatever, especially like 9th, 10th grade.
Yep.
But like for gay people, something that doesn't exist. We don't like women. So like, what is my experience? I'm not reading it in a book. I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm having to run to the dark corners of the internet. I'm having to experience all these things that they shouldn't just be going through. We should be teaching something at least.
True.
When teachers open the discussion to young children about sexuality and inherent sexual attraction, it puts them in a position where they could step on the toes of parents. And that's what I don't agree with.
I totally understand.
When, like 20 years ago, there was a lot of like hubbub, basically, about evolution being taught in schools. And the same argument was presented by creationists and evangelicals. It steps on the toes of parents. Well, guess what? You send your kids to a public school to learn by people who have been educated and trained in the subjects that they're going to teach them. Okay? Like, if you don't, like, I'm sorry that learning is scary to you, but like, you have to ask yourself, what is that fear rooted in, right? Why would parents feel like they're getting their toes stepped on by having their kids being taught about sexual reproduction and sex education in schools? Specifically when we're talking about LGBTQ plus issues. And the main thing is that, like, well, they're not ready for that, or, oh, it's icky gross, or it's like, they're gonna turn my kids gay. All of which are fucking ridiculous and just rooted in feelings and not facts. I found out what asexual was last year. I found out what being transgender was 5 years ago. I found out what being gay was a dozen years ago. I've always been those things, but never had the words to express them. My inability to say anything about that topic made me almost kill myself multiple times. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like, you're not making kids gay or trans. You are giving them the descriptive tools to identify those things and not be, like, confused or weirded out by it or grossed out or hateful about it. That's all that you're doing. The idea that, like, LGBTQ plus education can make a child gay or trans is stupid. Because guess what? Most of the media they consume is cis heteronormative. So if that's how it worked, if it was exposure based, nobody would be gay because most of our media is straight. You can't make somebody gay, much less as you can make somebody straight or trans or whatever. It's not how it works. Thank you for the follow. Let's finish. We got 11 minutes left. I really have to piss like a racehorse.
And where you're going with sexuality, I totally understand what you two said, age appropriate. I think when you're talking about sexuality, that's like sex, that's in terms of like sexual education, sex ed. That's literally what they teach in school. So that
right,
those
I'm
types
not
of
for
talks.
that either, which is the point I was going to make.
Okay.
I don't think, I'm a conservative who favors small government. I don't think it's the government's place to teach anyone's kids about sex. And I know there are kids that may need to learn about it because their parents aren't good parents, but I don't think that exception makes the rule.
I think
That's a stupid argument. He says exception doesn't make the rule. Most conservative parents don't teach their kids about sex. They don't. You need to teach your kids about sex so you can prevent sexual abuse from happening to children. If they don't know what it is, they're not going to be able to stop it. If you let them know early on what bad touch is, what that means, what the body language looks like, sorry for my stutter, they're going to be able to identify that and prevent it from happening to themselves.
Clarkson kind of made the point that the government really shouldn't be in the business of teaching your children about your sexuality. No one taught us how to be gay. Who taught you how to be gay? Anybody?
No, nobody's teaching you how to be gay. You can't do that. It's so fucking stupid. Nobody's teaching them that. They're just teaching them what gay is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The internet. Okay. It would have. Yeah.
My uncle actually, I didn't know he was gay.
So it was a family member.
Yes, I didn't know he was gay.
For me, as a gay man who grew up with parents who were very, very prudish, they had no idea. They didn't even want to have the conversation. I am that example that should have been taught at school, but I learned. I figured it out on my own, just like many of us ultimately do.
You can't say that. Oh, he literally said he should have been taught in school. You can say, I should have been taught in school, but hey, we figured it out on our own, so everybody else should. That's so fucking brain dead. Like, he recognizes that he should have been taught about it in school, but he doesn't think that you should teach the other generations about it. That's so fucking dumb.
I know as an individual, it would have helped me if someone in my own family, an uncle, a parent. For me, I think it's the government's job to start educating these parents because the parents need to have these sensitive conversations with their children. The best metric for a child's success is the parental involvement. And what we're doing right now, where we're teaching the children about sexuality and completely not involving the parent, we're leading them down a road for
No, the parent can do that. Like, the school's not watching the parents at home. The parents can still teach them about that if they want, but they're not doing it. They're not doing that. Like, I literally can't listen to this guy speak. It drives me insane,
psychological issues because they've got no support system at home. We're creating a school system that's supportive and a home system that they think is unsupportive. We live in 2023. Most of the people are very accepting. Parents are understanding, but parents have to know what's going on in their children's lives so that they can
generalization.
be prepared. And I think it's the school's responsibility to prepare those parents, not to have children have these conversations with parents because children do not teach their parents.
How do you get parents involved when they don't support it, though? Like, I have a lot of really good friends who are educators, and they want the parents involved, but a lot of their parents are coming to school already queerphobic.
Right. See, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge for the schools. It's not the school's job to overstep that unsupportive parent and then shelter that child, because now that child has created a two-world system where I feel safe.
This is stupid. Like, you send your kids to school to get educated. That's what they are there for. Okay, you leave it up to the school at that point. You don't just randomly get to, like, pick and choose what should and shouldn't be taught. And you know what? If you don't agree with it, tell your kids at home. Tell them. then educate them, but don't just say like, oh, I'm not going to educate them, but you can't do it either because I don't like it. It makes me feel icky. It's just fucking batshit insane. It's so stupid.
Here, but I don't feel safe at home, and then the state comes and takes the children, which is happening.
How do you feel about waivers? Like, how do you feel about the school saying, oh, we're going to teach your kid this, and the kid comes home with a waiver? Like, if they sign it, then you're okay with the school teaching it, but if the parent doesn't sign it, then they go in another room and the parent teaches it.
Yeah,
Are you
absolutely.
Cool with something like that?
I would completely agree with that. Yeah.
You know, I was groomed by a teacher, and it was only possible because it was not okay for teachers to talk about being gay, except the one teacher who went out of his way to make his room a safe space. And because he was the only teacher and happened also, separately from being open, to be a pedophile, he was able to groom myself and others. And so unless and until kids feel like they can be completely safe wherever they are, and knowing that changing parents is kind of an impossible lift, to be frank, not making it mandatory to create safe spaces for LGBTQ kids in schools is begging for disappointment, begging for failure. And to your point about learning about being gay, the ways that I learned about being gay, especially from the internet, I'm almost 40, there's baggage from that I still carry with me.
100%.
And so if I had been comprehensively educated when I was a kid,
yeah, again,
in school,
when he talks about like getting groomed or whatever, you can prevent that with sexual education. If he identified that behavior early on, he would have been able to prevent it, or at least tell somebody about it, maybe, or he would have the tools to do that. Rather, I recognize some people, it's scary it's very scary to confront your abuser or tell people about your abuser in fear of retaliation, and I totally get that, totally understand it. At the very least, you need to arm these kids with the tools to recognize and identify inappropriate behavior like that so they can prevent it and report it. And so you get people like that, you know, out of the classroom, out of the family home, you know, out of where they work, whatever, so on and so forth. You remove those people from places where they can prey upon people like that. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you're able to identify them. And so if their victims can identify them, guess what? You're making the world a better and safer place like that.
Monogamous relationships are difficult to find in the gay community.
I don't think that's true. Absolutely not.
I'm a step forward on this one.
There you go.
There's something to be said about a lot of gay men, and again, this is straight people do this too, but we're just talking about gay people that say they want monogamy, but they don't actually want it. They just want it for the person they're with, and that's a little shade to my ex, but anyways.
Grindr, probably.
No, but I think,
Is this true,
I think it
though?
has more to do with the fact that we are very focused on our
There's a lot of gay people in
pleasure a
chat.
lot in our community, and we haven't really learned, not necessarily to repress it, because you shouldn't repress sexual desire, but we haven't really learned how to control it in situations that are particularly hard to do. Like if you're around.
I don't know if control is the right word. I think he's looking for regulate here, but again, I don't even know if that's true.
You're not willing to just commit to one person and just not be with somebody else.
But is that a Christian idea? Is that a heteronormative idea?
No, it's just an
that's a
idea of
scientific
me.
idea, because as a student of science, the most stable bond is a pair bond, period.
sure.
But a pair bond for how long?
It can be forever. I mean, my pair bond.
A student of science, the guy that argued on feelings to get gender-affirming care denied for trans kids. Okay, you can't call yourself that, but whatever. Student of science, yeah, what school?
And I'm expecting it to be
Is there
forever.
nuance in that, though? Because even as straight couples, there's like, I mean, you get in the 40s and 50s, there's swingers everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
We might be best served by surrendering that one of these is right and one of these is wrong, because we put each other and ourselves in a position of an expectation of, I should want this, or I should want that, I should be this, I should be that. And if that's inconsistent with what best serves us, that's a recipe for a failed relationship, regardless of whether or not it's supposed to be open or closed. You know, I just think
The conversation's deviating a little bit, but there is no right or wrong way. Just do what you want to do. A most stable bond is a trip. Yeah, wait. The most stable structure is a triangle. Everybody knows it's triangle supremacy. Triplets are much better than pairs. This is true. Thruples are much more stable. Actually, a hexagon. Oh yeah, it is the hexagon, isn't it? Yeah, it is a well, triangles are really good too. Triangles are the next best. Triangles are better than squares. I know this, but yeah, it is a hexagon actually. It's not only like just better for like structural rigidity and stability, but also for it makes the most use of available space than any other shape. The hexagon is powerful, but I prefer the triangle. Hexagon is just a bunch of triangles put together. Well, a square is that. A square is 2 triangles. Hexagon, multiple triangles. Look, this ain't no geometry class. This is here me to dunk on gay conservatives and own the libs, and that's just what we're gonna do.
I want to say that I really respect and appreciate all of you, and I
He's
even
such
those
a
of you that I disagree with vehemently, I see a lot of humanity in, and I also want to say, if I said or did anything that was offensive to
Look
anyone,
at him!
I just want you to know I really do respect this.
Get in!
I'm happy to see our message, you know, even if we don't always agree. The best part is that we each get to say what we want to say, and that's going to help move our community forward. That's really what this is all about.
I definitely respect all humans. I just feel like you have a lot of energy and passion that I wish would be used to help move the needle for all of our community in a better way.
True.
I just get nervous that sometimes in these red spaces,
Barrett's such a king.
they will use
Barrett is
people
such a
like
king.
you to push their agenda to harm one group of people, and then that will grow and grow and grow.
But I think they do that on both sides.
Yeah, everybody.
But who's to say that I'm not using that?
Okay, can we have that soundbite?
Both sides. What agenda? What? Oh, agenda. Oh God, here we go. How old is this? Do I want to watch this? Not right now. What fucking agenda is there that leftists are pushing to take away rights from conservatives? It does not fucking exist.
Raise your hand.
This is from 5 months ago. I'm not watching that. It's too old. Anyway, well, there it is. There's the video. At the end of the day, all those conservatives are stupid. There was one good take from one of them. Barrett is a king. What's his name? Andy or something? What's his name? Andy? Pete Buttigieg. The Ben Wyatt was a neolib. The guy with the braid was a fucking idiot and a transphobic monster. There was a guy who looked like a Nazi in a World War II movie, and again, Barrett is who we stand. Hashtag let Barrett speak. There it is. I'm right, they're wrong. Thank you, goodbye. Some bleach? Some bleach would be good for this.